Heidi ho, guys and gals. Welcome back to the Den of Tools Sunday night at the Den. So, sorry, running a few minutes late. Time totally got away from me. I got in a project in the shop here, and you know how it is. Anyway, so bad news. The missus is not joining us tonight. She has really, she hasn't been taking care of herself all week and just been pushing herself too far. And I sent her home to get some rest. So hopefully she's not watching this and she's in bed like she's supposed to be. Anyway, the good news is you still got me. So how's everyone doing tonight? Let's do a little bit of a roll call and say howdy to everyone. YouTube in the house. Neil F is here. Hey Neil, how's it going? We got Billy Griffin's in here. The Pope Joy is here. Greg Crocker. Clint, was it Clinton Tire? Let's see here. Mater's Workshop's in the house. Hey, Mater. Wohawk, Dick Shin's in there. Mike Adams, Futon02. Hey, Futon02 is around. The Tank. Let's see. Anybody else here? Ken Norris, Rail 92, Kevin Smith, Ron Bradley, and the Dark Rose. How's everyone going? How they doing? So yeah, so the missus is staying home, so I'm not over at the podcasting table. I'm just sitting here at the workstation and just relaxing, chilling tonight. We're gonna be a little bit more laid back here. I don't have to be on my A game because she's not around to watch. So how's everyone doing? How was your week? It's been crazy around here. You know, we're still trying to, it's a slow thing with building out the studio. We just got the new shelving in behind us there. So we got that, moved the other stuff over to the workshop area. Got some gun safes in, built out, I got clobbered. I bought a fireplace. It's one of these flat pack put together kind of things. And the thing weighs a ton. It weighs a ton. I was picking it up and it started to get away from me. So I pulled back on it real quick and it slammed into me like a hammer. So if I'm a little dazed and confused, that could be what's going on. Let's see. What else is going on here? Stuff over here I can't show you because YouTube doesn't like that. But it rhymes with Manchester. Let's see here. I think that's it. I got a new work light in. And, it's one of these big 100,000 candle balloon lights. That thing's pretty epic. We're going to be doing a video on that here shortly. All right, let's go through some of the comments and see what's going on. Does anybody care about the Super Bowl? I'm eating my beard here, apparently. That was delicious. So, I used to be a huge football fan, and I played football when I was younger. I liked the sport, and I moved around so much. It was hard to be root for any team. When I was a little kid, I was a Chicago Bears fan. And then, you move on. And when I lived in Cincinnati, I kind of rooted for the Bengals. When I lived in Indy was the time where the Colts were really, they brought everything together and they made their first run at the Super Bowl. And that was an amazing time. That was great. And then, I lived in the Bay Area and, never been a Bay Area sports fan. Went to a lot of games, but it was always because somebody had tickets for something. Or when I lived in Oakland, the A's still have one of the cheapest, seats you can get in a professional sports or event. So it was fun to take the kids and, go on a Wednesday and they had dollar dogs, dollar beers, that kind of stuff. Boy, that can get out of hand fast. And then, in Vegas, Golden Knights. Okay, so got to root for the Golden Knights. And because we lived just down the street from their practice arena, we'd go over there all the time. They'd have public skating. There was a great restaurant there. We'd see, my daughter met Flurry. I keep wanting to call him Mick Flurry. And she had no idea who he was. She was just excited to meet him. And Oakland, when we he stole all the Oakland teams at this point. I don't know if you heard, they're closing down the, it's not the Flamingo. What is it? It's the other one that has just, Tropicana. And back in the day, way back in the day, the Tropicana was, a great resort. And then it kind of withered on the vine, and they tore it down, and they built this new giant white building that has no soul. And I went into it after it opened, and it was like they didn't design it. They just built a big building, and then they're like moved in gaming stuff, but they just kind of put it wherever, and it looked like somebody who'd taken their living room and turned it into a casino. That's what it felt like, a giant big living room turned into a casino. It had no theme or function to it. There was no form for it to follow. You walk into the other casinos and they kind of sweep and they flow, and there's this whole design, concept to them. There was nothing in the Tropicana, and anyway, they're tearing it down to make room for the new stadium, the new baseball stadium, which is going to be right on the Strip. So I have no sympathy for them tearing down the Tropicana. I'm sorry, I know it's a big name. For those of you who are fans of the Tropicana, seek help. Anyway, let's keep going here. Let's see here. The Pope Joy says, anyone see the 7-tool fuel kit at Acme? Looking for a good jump-off point for M18. Just wondering why it's so cheap there anywhere else. I haven't seen that. I would make sure they're all fuel tools. Sometimes you'll get like 1 or 2 tools in a large kit that are the top of the line, and then everything else will be like the bottom of the line. I haven't seen it, so I'll have to take a look at it. Greg Crocker says, greetings, gang. How everyone's doing? Dick says, Super Bowl on, sound turned down. Maybe I'll have to, wonder if I can bring the Super Bowl up on one of my other, no, I think it's on I thought it was on Amazon Prime, but I think it's on like Paramount Plus. I don't think I have the sign in here. And honestly, I don't care. Is the audio fixed? I hope the audio is fixed. Let me go down. Are people complaining that the audio? No, it looks like it's okay. Anyway, I've had some audio issues recently. It's because I keep going back and forth between my setup here and my setup over there. And every time I tear down, because I only have one audio mixer, I'm planning to get another one, but I keep spending money on. Like I just upgraded the RAM in my PC because I'm now shooting in 4K, and editing in 4K at 32 gigs was just tough. So I brought it up to 64, and eventually I'm going to take it to 128. But it's just, every time I turn around, there's another thing to invest money into, and there's always more. Let's see here. The audio fix, we talked about that. YouTube says I'm watching, I'm going to call them YouTube Cubed. I'm watching the Super Bowl on TV with Dental Tools as background noise. Thank you. And I should do some of the color commentary. You'd love that. And Dental Tool says, sorry, time got away from me. That does happen. Mater says, Clarice should buy you a nice watch for your birthday. I have a great watch. Here's the thing, though. So I can't wear watches on my right hand because they drive me bonkers. So I can only wear them on my left. However, when I was 14, I think, 13, 14, I broke the snot out of my left hand. And I've got this huge, I don't know if you can see this huge bump right there because of it, the way it healed. And so watches won't sit on my wrist. They sit at an angle. So it's not comfortable. I like watches. I have a beautiful, like, all wood watch, and it's mahogany, and it's super cool, and it sits in my safe at home, and I never wear it, but I have it. The real sad, actually, it's probably a great thing for my budget, because I could easily see myself becoming a watch collector. Heck, there's this dude, I can't remember his name, who fixes watches on YouTube. And it's so meticulous in getting in there and taking them apart and dealing with the jewels. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. but there's so many specialty tools you have to do. And it's so intricate. I'm like, I don't have time for most of my current hobbies. What I definitely don't need to add in is a super meticulous, involved hobby. A hobby repairing things that I can't use. That would be awesome. Anyway, you're not watching the Super Bowl. No, I'm not. Ronald says, hey, Jeff. Kevin says, hello, everyone. David says, East Coast hellos. Jeff got a haircut. Looks like a bear's nice. Did I'm just probably not wearing a hat. I know I did cut it not too long ago. So, yeah, I think I did. Chili Kurt in Cincinnati. Cincy Town, how you doing there? Oh, my wife has been making some awesome chili. We're gonna post the recipe and here, and she needs. The thing is, every time she makes it, she kind of does it a little bit different based on what ingredients she has. So she needs to finalize her recipe, and then we'll move forward. Howdy, having an adult beverage and a stogie. Am I having not a stogie tonight? I'm stogie free this week. The kids have been having some like sore throat kind of stuff going on. So I'm just trying to stay away from anything that'll lower that kind of resistance. So just for the week, taking a lot of zinc. I gotta tell you, so my wife turned me on to, Zinc Cam. If you ever taken zinc pills, they're awful. They should be illegal under the Geneva Convention. And then she found these. I'm not sponsored by Zicam here. They're gummies. And oh my gosh, if somebody handed me a bag of these, I would think they're just candy. They probably are candy with a little bit of zinc in them. I don't know. There might not be any zinc in them, but it's a delicious excuse to chew on some candy that I'm not really supposed to have. Scott says, how are the Craftsman overdrive wrenches? You mentioned last week they sent you some. Will Icon or Tecton make some RBRT? Should I hold out or pull the trigger on Craftsman? I believe Icon has a version. I don't know if it's technically RBRT because I think that's a brand. The company that makes those sockets reached out to me because they were doing stuff for Matco and then Gear Wrench, and I'm pretty sure I got a set from Gear Wrench. And they actually wanted to come on the live stream and do a whole thing. And I'm like, that's not kind of what we do here. I'm going to pull the mic out. I'm going to sit back a little bit and relax. So they're awesome. Don't get me wrong. They're awesome, and they're those kind of get out of jail free kind of tools. Icon has a set. I should get the set and compare them to see if there's any difference. As far as the overdrive wrenches, they're big. I want to like them. Well, the ratchets. They sent me a whole set, and I'm gonna do a video on it. But I've kind of been trying to suss out what my real feelings on. The sockets have been great. The sockets have been fantastic. The ratchets are super smooth, but they're really big. They're, it's like I got a Snap-on ratchet, which is a great heavy duty ratchet. But again, it's like driving an F450 when what you really need is a Toyota Hilux. Honestly, they're just overkill. Brad Barr says, word. And what's a Super Bowl? It's kind of the way I feel. I mean, so you got to understand, I am in a state. I live in a state that has no professional teams of any kind. Nothing. No baseball, no football, no basketball, no hockey. We don't even have a lacrosse team, okay? We got zilch. South Dakota, North Dakota, same. Idaho, same. Wyoming, same. I don't think there is a state surrounding us. So we are insulated. We are at least not one, but 2 states away from any state with a major team. I would have to drive through Idaho to Washington and then all the way across Washington to get to Seattle to see a team. and I have no desire to go to Seattle. I think Utah. Do they have the Utah Jazz still? I think they have a basketball team. I'm not a basketball guy. Any sport where you can score over 100 points is clearly too easy and needs to they need to add pit bulls and razor traps and spike pits, like right under the basket. A 10-foot spike pit, I think would add a lot of character to the game. The Denver, I could go down to Denver. That have drive through all the way through Wyoming down to Denver to hate my life. So no, there I could go over to Minnesota, and we all know what's happened to Minnesota in recent years. So I don't have any desire to go to Minnesota or Chicago. Vegas, I go to Vegas all the time. So that, and honestly, it's odd. A lot of people around here, we see a lot of Seahawks fans. We get a lot of Broncos fans, but there is a substantial number of Vegas sports fans. Now we got Raiders fans and you'll see Golden Knights jerseys fairly often. It's interesting. And I think it's because there's the corridor that pretty much goes almost straight from Montana down to Vegas. So that could be why. Anyway, that's my sporting, professional sports theory. Let's see what else is going on here. We already talked about my haircut, and NASCAR starts next week. I got to tell you, I used to make so much fun of NASCAR. Talking about, I don't know if I need to watch a sport that isn't, based on your ability to turn left. I don't know if that is my thing. But my son, and it was down in Vegas, convinced me to take it. He got tickets or somehow. We didn't go to the actual NASCAR race. We went to the race before it, the Affinium Cup race, and we had a blast. We sat way too close to the track because it was just ridiculously loud and you couldn't see anything. We learned our lesson to sit further back, higher up, so you can actually see the track and hear the person next to you. But it was, we've gone twice. So the first time we went to the Affinium race, the second time we went to the actual NASCAR race, and it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. It was a great time. I'm actually, the last time I ran into several fans and such, so I could see myself becoming more of a fan of NASCAR. So we'll have to see about that. The Super Bowl is lame since my Vikings aren't in it, says George Floyd. Scott says, P.S. you are welcome to send me your overdrive wrenches for testing. Like you, I love Craftsman, but it's not what it was. The name still gives me warm fuzzies. It does, me too. Every time. Like, I got 2 Craftsman cabinets next to me, and they're terrible, and I can't recommend anybody to buy them. But I know when I walk in and I look over and I see that bank of red and black, I get a little bit of warm fuzzies, like, ooh, nostalgia right there in my shop. Yeah, anyway. Mike says, don't feel alone. I was busted knuckles all evening Friday and all day yesterday. Hit my head on the corner of the trunk lid on my LTD. Brother, I love the LTD. My grandparents growing up, my grandfather always, this is my biological side. My biological father was a sales manager at Ford for years. And so he got discounts. So everyone in the family drove Ford products. And my grandfather always drove the Ford Econoline passenger van, the super van with the extended 1.5 foot welded on the back, because Ford, right? So he always had that, and because there was a big family and kids, and anyway, so I don't know, I don't remember. At least that was the excuse. I don't remember ever seeing it filled up, but he always drove that. Now he worked for HUD. And he went to a lot of job sites and stuff like that. And that's what he used for driving around. My grandmother, who was one of the most put together women you ever met, drove a black LTD. She could have gotten the Lincoln, but she didn't want the Lincoln because the Lincoln was a little pretentious. So she wanted the LTD. And I love that car. And there's been a few times where I've never owned an LTD, but I've gotten them as rental cars. And every time I was like, first of all, let me get this mic. Every time my thought process was, hold on, let me do this. I'll put it over here, do it off to the side. Tell me if the sound is any worse or whatnot. But every time I drove the LTD, or I also got the Mercury version of it one time. If you're driving on a highway, it's just a great time. I had a 73 Caprice Classic 2-door coupe with the vinyl top that I absolutely loved. And that was a dream, doing road trips on that thing. Driving around town was absolute, torture, but driving on the highway is so much fun. But anyway, he said, same spot as a ball cap button hits. Ooh. Man, I've got a bunch of hats, and I wish they would stop making them with button tops. All my shooting caps are buttonless, so you can put your ear pro on and have it not hit right on it. And so I have a tendency to wear those, but yeah, I hate the button top. Just get me a pair of Tozo wireless headphones. I'm pretty impressed, especially for $39. For $39, my wife, so I bought her a set because she lost her AirPods, and then she found her AirPods. And so she was using the Tozo for about a week. And she's like, "You're right. These aren't terrible. I kind of like them." But then she likes the fit, the way they hang in her ear better with the AirPods. Then she found the AirPods. So then the Tozos went in the desk or something. And all the kids were chiming in that they wanted it. She's like, "No, it's my backup pair." You will see her wearing the Tozos about twice a week. And I would like to think it's because she secretly likes wearing them. But the truth is, she constantly loses her AirPods. So, but anyway, it's a good backup for her. And Jim says, no Super Bowl this year. It was interrupted by the Taylor Swift show. Oh my gosh. That is, the whole thing with Taylor Swift is, I get it. My daughter is a big fan. I wouldn't call her a Swiftie per se, but she's a fan. We were in Nashville and we went to the Country Music Hall of Fame, and they have a whole Taylor Swift exhibit there with like a mock tour bus that has recording studios in it. And she and my wife went in there and they sang a bunch of songs and recorded them. And I had to extract them physically from there because the place was closing. But she's not like, I don't know. She's almost a Swiftie, but she's not like obsessive about it. The Wohawk says, I need to upgrade from using my phone. Did a short video today and my phone kept freezing. Oh, you're talking about, recording your videos? Really? What kind of phone do you have? Because maybe it just needs a reboot. And Jethro Bodine cereal. Talking about the commercials. My favorite part is the commercials. I miss the old Budweiser commercials. Those were always great. But the one I saw recently was for, was it Paramount? The football head one. Absolutely hilarious. You got to look it up. Football head Super Bowl commercial. You'll find it. It's got, what's his name in it? I can't remember the actor. The guy from the Star Trek, The Next Generation, the captain. Super Bowl. I haven't seen a soup or salad restaurant in years. I haven't either, and I don't miss them. Don't get me wrong. I like a good soup, maybe the occasional salad, but the soup and salad restaurants are just crazy. Jim says, I take zinc but don't chew it, so I can't comment on the taste. The pills that we've had are not, they're not chewable. It's just, they don't put any coating on them, so you can't, tastes like aluminum in your mouth. Pre-revenue says, I thought I was just sleeping bad, but realized I had a cold this weekend, was coughing my head yesterday. I'm a little concerned, and I'm gonna, after the show here, I'm going to take some more zinc because I caught myself sneezing like 5 times today. And that's once or twice. I mean, I get allergies and stuff, but 5 times in one day, not great. He also says, I wanted to like the wind track saw, but the single rail killed it for me. Mater says, Bauer or Hercules for a planer? Depends on how much you're doing. If you're just doing it occasionally, get the Bauer or get the Win. There's some great deals on the Win. You know, the 3-blade, the helical blade. The Hercules is fantastic. But, you know, not everyone wants to spend Hercules. If you're only doing it like once a month, unless you got money to burn. Mike says, Rush Limbaugh spoke highly of Zicam, but later became one of his sponsors, but he talked about them beforehand. If they want to sponsor me, I love the stuff. And I really do believe that zinc helps. There used to be a thing that you could take that was one of those like pump aerosol things that you shove up your snout and you pump it up there. And it had zinc in it. And it was advertised to mitigate the effects of a cold. And I can remember that we had a vacation plan to go to, where was it? San Diego. We were going down to San Diego for a weekend, and I had just come down with a cold, and I was pissed. And we were down there, and we ended up we're meeting a bunch of friends down there, and I loaded up with like antihistamines and what's the prescriptions, the stuff you have to sign for over the counter, and that all got me to almost not feeling sick. But when I used the spray stuff, I honestly legit didn't feel sick. It was a wonder drug as far as I was concerned. And I went out, and I was younger. I was a lot younger, and we went out party. We ended up going to that bar where Jesse Ventura got into a fight with Chris Kyle apparently, and it's a military bar. A lot of Navy folk are there. Some of the people we were with were Navy, so that's how we ended up there. And it was a great time. And then they pulled it off the market because some people lost their sense of smell. Almost worth the trade. Asylum said, "Hey, Marine X is here. What's up, big dog? How you doing, man? You know what? Let's set up Marine X there. He needs a wrench. Put user in timeout. Oh, not this time. We'll add him as moderator. All right, there we go. All right, man. How you doing? There was another comment. Oh, and Asylum says, I like the lights on the shelf behind you. Is the missus joining us? I always enjoy seeing her fun headgear. No, she is, I don't want to say under the weather. She's just worn out. She did too much with not enough sleep all week. Last night, she was volunteering at the Belts and Buckles. By the way, if you're from, or we're at Belts and Buckles dinner last night, and you're in the Livingston, Montana area, if you were there and you gave your servers a hard time or acted like, like you're the boss of them or something, you're a real piece of work, because they're all volunteers who are there to help out the nonprofit kind of thing that's going on for the rodeo and everything. So you paid for a steak dinner, and it all gets, you've been to these things before, right? You all have. We all know. You go and you pay for it, and they cook a ton of steaks in the back, a bunch of potatoes, a bunch of everything, and they plate them all up and they serve them. You don't get to choose like, hey, I want this cut, or I want that cut, or I want medium rare, or medium. You go, hey, can it be a little bit less, or a little bit nice, and I'll take whatever you got. Thank you very much. Thank you for volunteering. You definitely don't snap your effing fingers. And if I find the guy who was snapping at my daughter and being a complete you know what about it, you and I are going to have words. Thanks. That's all I got to say on the matter. People just so full of themselves these days. And try Calgary. The city? So we keep talking about going to the Stampede. Our kids are, well, they used to be more involved. It's kind of hard right now, but are involved in rodeo. And they volunteer for the rodeo. One of them rides, the youngest one actually rides bulls and steers. Actually, I don't think he's ever ridden a steer, just bulls. And so we keep saying one of these days we're going to make it up to the Stampede. So maybe this coming year. And Sam says, I grew up near Michigan Speedway. Race day was always annoying because traffic was horrendous through my small town that day. I lived in Indianapolis. Hold on, I'm going to turn the heat off here for a second. I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I love these people complaining about, like, I live near a racetrack and I moved there after the fact and it's super loud. And it was there when I moved there, but I want them to shut down now. Oh, they piss me off. And, oh, my camera is not keeping up. I thought we'd get more juice out. I accidentally left it on. It depleted. Amazon was supposed to deliver this special cable that delivers enough power, and they said they delivered it, and I don't see it anywhere. So I'm going to have to switch out cameras here in a minute. Give me a second here. Maybe we can do this on the fly. A little hot swap kind of thing. Mm-hmm. All right. Don't go anywhere. I'm still here. Allegedly. Okay. We got a new setup over here. All right. Now I need a cable. Where did my cable go? That is not it. I have lost my cable. How did I manage that? Have you guys seen my HDMI cable? I'm pretty sure one of you guys did something with it. Wait, what's this? Oh, I think we got it. All right. Let me move some beverages out of the way so they don't get knocked over. Anyway. Okay. Beverages are out of the way. Oh, that's interesting. Apparently I bumped a camera. I know. Wow, that is special. It just changed resolution on me. That is odd. Why did it do that? So, as I was saying, one of these days, I will get my act together and I'll actually have a completely operating studio. Do not hold your breath. Okay, come on. You can do this. All righty. Be right back. Ta-da. All right. So, that you're going to see behind the curtain here. All right, just like the Wizard of Oz. Oh, I wish. So let me see here. I got to set up a second camera. Add the camera. I'm still here. I know you're all super excited by this. And let's do a capture device. And there we go. We're on Cam Link. And it's way too big. Look at that. Second camera. Is that actually working? There we go. So, if and when camera 1 goes down, let me move you back here a little bit. We got to have some cinematography here, right? And too close. Right there. We'll leave it right there. Okay, that's good. Then we'll lock that into place. Go back to camera 1. See, now I can be all like super professional. I can bring the mic around here and I can do fun stuff. Like, I could be talking to you here. We could be having a conversation. I could be like, you know what I mean? Of course you do. You know exactly what I mean. Come back to camera 1. Look at that. Oh, sorry for that. I know. Super awesome. Okay. Let's get back to the comments. And the lights. So the lights, having some fun. I actually have 2 of the red lights back there. That's my, what do they call it? Hair light over there. I need to get it up higher so you can't actually see it. The new shelves are a little lower than the old shelf. Even that's on the, anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is that it needs to be out of frame. It's still giving some light here. And, so anyway, the LED lights, the colored RGBs, the idea is that since I have all these different channels now, they're going to be color themed. So if you tune in and you see a red background, you know it's Dena Tools. If you see a blue background, it's going to be the Cask and Ember, the podcast for whiskey and cigars. If you see a purple background, it's going to be the Bear's Den, which is like gear and YouTube kind of stuff and YouTube business and just general business kind of stuff. And then if you see a green background, it's going to be Geek Health. The wife and I are going to be bringing that podcast back. So anyway, just letting you know, I need more LGB lights. Although, actually, that's a great reminder. Hold on just a second. Where are my LGB lights? Hold on. All right. So I got a couple of these little LGB lights, or RGB. I keep calling them LGB. Little Freudian slip there. And I have no idea where my eyeballs are. I think I took them into the truck. That's great. So I need to change this to the right color. And yes, there is a reason for this. All right. All right, set to red. I bought 2 of these, and I really like them. They're really cool. They're battery powered. They are whatchamacallit, and they're magnetic. So I can stick them to about anything. They even stick together like that. But I noticed that one of them doesn't last nearly as long as the other one. So I just just charge these. They're so bright they look white there, but they're on full power. So if one of them goes out, let me know. So I know which one. I know to look and see about how long it was. It's 6:46 right now, my time. So let's time it, see how long. It's supposed to last 2 hours. We're going to do some product testing live. I'm looking to get 2-ton aluminum floor jacks, Pittsburgh or Daytona. There really isn't much of a difference. The Daytonas let you have prettier colors. Let's see here. Oh, and of course it skipped on me, because of course it did. And Wohawk says, I have a Moto G Pure, kind of stuck with it unless I change carriers. So that's interesting, because I just got approached by, I can't get this thing to be right where I want it. There we go. I got approached by Mint Mobile, and they want me to do their version of a Pepsi challenge. That's what I'm calling it. Basically, they gave me a free month of Mint Mobile, and I'm going to load it on, because I still have, I don't know, you can't see them actually. I still have a whole stack of cell phones over there from the old carriers. So I've got an unlocked Moto G Power, and it's like a $250 cell phone. I liked it a lot because it would, like, I could go a day or two or sometimes 3 without charging it. And it has a mediocre camera, and it does an okay job. It's not super fancy or super fast, but I honestly thought it was fine for the longest time. And so I'm getting a SIM card from them. I'm going to pop it in that after I get that for a month, I'm going to run that and find out, hey, what is the difference between running a flagship iPhone on Verizon versus by now a super mediocre budget phone on Mint Mobile. And they're telling me that I will be happier with Mint Mobile with a budget phone than I am with my flagship phone on Verizon. So the only thing is, I wish I had an iPhone so I could test iPhone to iPhone, even if it was an older gen. But we'll find out. Mike says, I had a 73, 75 LTDs, now a 77, out of high school in 91. I get laughed at driving them, but I guess now they've become a low budget classic. Brother, now you're making me want to get one. Actually, you know what I want? I want a mid-70s Monte Carlo. That's a 2-door car with one where it's got the seats that like pivot to help you get in and out with the half vinyl top. I love vinyl tops. I love those old cars. It was a luxury sports car kind of thing. I like them. But don't get me wrong, a nice LTD, Crown Vic kind of thing, something in that kind of class, I could be happy with it. Problem is, you can only drive it half the year around Montana, because once the ice and snow hits, I see people with the rear wheel drive cars. It's just a joke. You're just going, gee, I hope I end up in a ditch today. And I hope that's all it is. What do you think of the Tabo saw at Menards? I think it's fantastic, honestly. I think it's a great saw. And ads during live streams, right when Jeff was reading my comments. Dude, I'm sorry, I don't control those when those ads pop up. They do tell me I can place ads. I never place ads. It used to be you could turn them on and off, and then 6 months ago, they said, congratulations, you're part of a new test group. You're getting ads mid-roll in your live stream. It's going to help with your revenue. And no, you can't turn them off. Thanks for asking. And now everyone has them. So, yep. Zap says, I'm sure there's good people who own horses, but while I don't have a percentage, I'll bet the majority of them are crazy rich snobs. You'd think, but depends on where you live. Like if you live in a big city and people have horses, you can be guaranteed that there are some snobby McSnobber faces there. And yes, that is a technical term. But like, I know guys and families that have horses that are, they're just working class folks. They just make the decision that that's where they're going to put their money. And rather than traveling or doing other stuff, they have horses. My kids have been begging for a horse. And I'm like, not right now. I feel bad. I got a friend who's got 40 acres down the valley, and I'm stunned he doesn't have a horse yet. He doesn't want him because he knows he's going to be the one that ends up taking care of him. But his wife and daughters are all like, but daddy, please. Oh my gosh, that poor guy. Speaking of working on old cars, is the timing light that Harbor Freight sells decent, or should I avoid it? I just changed the timing set. I set it by ear, but I want to get it right. I have never used it. I don't know anybody who has. I would just look at the reviews. If anybody's used that timing light, let me know. I've got a timing light, and I could not tell you who makes it because that's how often I use it. YouTube Cube says, didn't know until recently that Taylor Swift performed country. Always thought she performed pop. She has become a pop star, but she started off doing country. Like a lot of other pop stars. Need a real non-politicized sport? Check out Buzzkashi. They're on horseback. The ball is a dead goat. Sounds awesome. You know what's good? Hockey. Hockey's a great one. They tried to politicize hockey, and all the hockey players were not having it. They're like, no, I'm not wearing that jersey. I'm not doing that. You're nuts. Hockey players just don't give up. They don't, man. Ask me how I know. So the Amazon drivers take photos of deliveries. They're awesome. I love that feature. I do too. We had a FedEx guy who thought, and I know he thinks he's doing everyone a solid, but he will open the door to your house and put the package inside. And he did it in the kitchen. That's the main door goes into our kitchen. He did it in our house. My daughter was in there making a snack. She was homesick from school. She's in her underwear and a long shirt. And the dude walks in. I'll just be a second. Looks her dead in the face. I'll just be a second. Sets it down. No, like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Closes the door. Sets it down. Snaps a photo of it and leaves. My wife told me that I wasn't allowed to call them. I called and told them that if it happens again, they're going to need to call the morgue and not 911 because I will shoot him. That's taking a picture with my teenage daughter in her underwear in the house. And apparently lots of people. Anyway, we filed an official complaint. And I said, if the guy shows up again, I will use force to remove him from the property, is what I actually said. So, yeah, FedEx, you better do something about your boy. But yes, I do totally agree that the Amazon thing, because they leave it outside, because they're not stupid. And Asylum says, I have not seen your HDMI cable. Asylum, no one believes you. No one. And Fertile Craftsman says, the rigid impact driver that finally arrived after 3 months works, but is not as efficient as my old one. Far less screws on a battery. Interesting. Let's see here. Hold on. I got to scroll up. Let me save my spot so when it jumps on me, like it just did. All right. Squatch. If you're colorblind, you're just screwed. My poor son, my oldest son, is colorblind. So, but it's not terrible. He just has a slight red-green problem. Mike says, it's the Wizard of Oz until you attend a Black Sabbath concert. It's the Wizard of Ozzy. Quote from an old wise foreman. Horse girls spend their entire lives learning how best to control a big, stupid animal between their legs. What makes you think you'll be any different? As someone who's been around rodeo, there was a meme going around about horse girls and how many dogs they have. And I just want to tell you, it's entirely true. I was talking to some of the younger guys, and he's like, I'm dating so-and-so. I'm like, oh, what does she do? And of course you know what she does. She's like, well, she's a barrel racer. I'm like, how many dogs does she have? And he's like, 3. Why? And all the guys just laughed. I'm like, dude, you're so screwed. Oh, barrel racers are just, they're trouble from day one. Just do not date barrel racers. Or buckle bunnies for that matter, because in neither case is it going to end up good for you. And Asylum says, I know a horse girl that I met working at a gas station. She seems nice. We don't hardly hang out though. Andrew says, I'm worried that if that LVLP gun can handle the Bauer Premium Prime and paint, only got a basic pancake compressor. I don't know. You got to look. They should have ratings on them as for what you need for what. So just go look at the specs. And Salem says blue LEDs use more energy than other colors. I do know that there was an issue. Actually, I watched like half of a video the other day about the invention of the blue LED. And apparently, get this. This is hilarious. For the longest time, they only knew how to make red and green LEDs. And they thought that was it. It was only they're never going to become light bulbs. They're never going to be able to do full spectrum. It's always going to just be red and green, which is why all the meters on like your stereo equipment and your car and all the kind of things that use LEDs for the longest time, that's why they're green and red. It's why sound meters go green and then spike to red, because it was the only colors they could make. So that really tickled me to think that, oh, that color pattern wasn't because of like stop signs or something else. It was because that's all they knew how to make. And then they got the blue ones. And once you got red, green, and blue, you can do full color spectrum. And everything's been, bonkers since then. I'm sitting in front of a bunch of bicolor LED panels that, used to have, full, halogen lights that were, make you sweat. They'd be so hot in your face. Anyway, but I did not know that I need to watch the rest of that video because I didn't know they used more energy. Steven says the Daytona Jacks are good ones. My brother-in-law's have been used a lot in the garage, and he's had it in the pits at a racetrack. And hey Jeff, are you using a 4K camera here? I'm using a 4K camera, but it's being scaled down to 1080 because of bandwidth. So it is the Sony FX30. Absolutely fabulous camera. But it has an integrated fan for cooling. It's got the Sigma 16 millimeter glass on it. I absolutely love the camera. However, it's a power hog and it gets all of its power via USB. And so for live streaming, like you can't just plug it in and run HDMI out because the power coming from one of those wall outlets isn't enough to keep it running. You have to have a PC or some other adapter that puts out 27 to 30 watts of power. Now I got a card added to my computer, but I don't have a cable, and you need a USB power delivery cable that is capable of delivering that kind of power. I ordered one, Amazon lost it. So we're still waiting for them to replace it. Matt says, I always liked the 80s Monte Carlo SS's. Something about the boxy shape just looks great. I'll be honest, like when they went to the smaller ones, I wasn't mad. I kind of liked them. A little bit more sporty, a little bit throw it around a bit. When they went to the totally sloped kind of things, the aerodynamic ones for NASCAR, whatnot, I didn't care for those. The $40 saw that was on the weekly ad. It's Sunday night, brother. I don't remember the ad. I'm sorry. I look at so many ads and whatnot. It is so hard to remember all this stuff. By the way, before Mater kills me, it's 7 o'clock, which means it's top of the hour. Time to say thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you for everyone who's hit the like button. We have 126 people currently watching. I'm guessing all 126 of you have taken the 5 seconds it literally takes to click on the thumbs up button or the thumbs down. Either way, make a choice. People died for your right to vote. Too soon? Anyway, want to thank you. Actually, just want to thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you taking your time on a Sunday evening to hang out with us. That said, I also want to thank everybody who supports the channel. Particularly, we got the members here, the people with the bear behind their name. Those are all the members of the channel. The color of the bear denotes how long they've been a member. But Stephen, Matthew, Homily, Mater, anyway, and all of you folks who are here who are members, we really, truly appreciate your support here. And we don't usually make a big deal out of it. I am thinking about doing like a weekly, like half-hour live stream or 1 hour live stream just for the members. So that's something you think you'd want to do or attend. Let me know. We'll see if we can make that happen. If you're interested in that, there's information down below in the links and such. And then everyone with a cobalt blue wrench behind their name, they're all the moderators, and they help me stay on track and bash trolls, and they're here every week, and they help organize the chaos that is our live streams. So thank you to all of them. And a great way to say thank you also is supporting the smaller tool channels that are out there. Many of our people here, especially our moderators, are creators in their own right. Go and check them out. Mater is, Marine X is, I know Wohawk is getting some stuff out there as well. Go and check out if you are a creator and you're one of the mods, go ahead and put a link to your channel in right now. People, just take a second, go over there, watch a video, give it a like, subscribe maybe. I don't know if you know this, but hitting the like button and subscribing is totally free. Even if you just want to support somebody, here's what you can do. You can subscribe and then go to the bell notification and choose no notifications. So you can still support people without having to be inundated if they put out like too many videos for you or something like that. All right, let's keep going here. Steve says, I'm thinking about upgrading to a 4K TV soon, the Vizio 50-inch. I have the 1080p. Brother, I can tell you. So I went from a 42-inch LG that was, I think it was 1080. I'm saying that because it might have been 720. But I think it was 1080. And then I bought a Vizio 70-inch 4K. And it was surreal. We put it up on the wall in the house, and I felt like I was looking through a window into the other room, because you could see all the pores and everything, and now you're used to 4K, and people have realized that I can shoot in 4K, but I have to do something to not make it look like you're seeing everyone's hair follicles and such. So they've adjusted the way they film, so it's not as quite in your face kind of stuff, but 4K is, and especially when you're looking at nature stuff and wildlife and whatnot, it's pretty amazing. Smoked ribs are almost done. Wow, that sounds delicious. Antonio says, I picked up a 75 Ford Gran Torino Sport last year. Love the old cars. Oh my gosh, that sounds like an awesome pickup. Honestly, as much I would love to get something like that, although there's like an early 2000 two-door Jeep with the hard top. They want $11,000 for it. And I don't have any, it's got the 4.0 inline engine in it. And I really want it. I have no need for a Jeep. And then on top of that, I'm doing the stuff with these guys helping to build an off-road park, and they're trying to get me to buy a mud truck and build out like a big block, mud truck, and so many projects, so little time. Hockey players are fantastic. My best friend's a goalie, and a couple of my cousins have played as well. Duncan played a little bit when we were in the Bay Area, and then I think he played a little bit in Vegas. And Griffin has played some here, and problem is the only league is in Bozeman, so it's up over the pass. It's not that long time-wise to drive there, but it's a good distance, costs a good bit of gas when you're going every, twice, 2-3 times a week for practices and for the games. And of course it's in winter, which is half the time the pass is, super treacherous, and we're not doing the drive over there. And he's bummed, but locally, they set up an ice rink here locally, and they do pickup games. So he's been able to go down and do pickup games, and he's been really enjoying that. His brother got him really nice hockey skates for Christmas. Well, ASMR, armors. I don't know what the hell the kids call it these days. I don't care. Coke in a cup. Cheers. Anyway. Mike says, I like the second gen Monte Carlos too. My grandpa had a 73, my uncle had a 77 when I was a kid, and I had a 76 not long after high school. I miss mine. No speed dimming, but great design. I like the second gens. The first ones they're just Grand Prix. There's no distinction. And the second gen had a little bit more of its own kind of look to it. Sasquatch says, heard much on the new DeWalt PowerShift stuff. PowerShift. Is that the new battery, the big battery that's going to compete with like the Milwaukee MX, the new tabless cells? By the way, for those of you confused about what tabless means, because a lot of the new stuff, the new DeWalts are tabless, the new Forge batteries are tabless from Milwaukee. Ryobi has tabless batteries coming out. So I'm going to do a video here, hopefully soon, explaining the whole tabless concept. And honestly, it's a great thing. It's kind of makes you wonder why they haven't been doing this all along. It doesn't seem like it's super technically hard to do. Maybe it probably is for manufacturing. For large scale manufacturing to make it cost efficient, it probably is. And Silence says, it sounds like you watched the same LED video I did. I have seen orange and yellow LEDs, but I don't know if they're yellow or orange or just a variation of red or green. Well, that's the weird thing is orange is a hard color. When you do a lot of what I do here and you start doing color adjusting and stuff like that, like green is a huge area of the spectrum. Blue is a huge area of the spectrum. Red is a big area of the spectrum. Yellow and orange are these little tiny slices of the spectrum. It's weird because you think that they say yellow is a primary. So you would think yellow would be this huge one and orange, purple, and green would be these little tiny slices in between. And they're not. I don't know. Maybe I should do a deep dive on why that is. And I can remember as a kid, remember the old projectors that would do the 3 lenses, and it was always red, green, blue, RGB. So why is green in there and it's a secondary color? I don't get it. You haven't given Amazon or FedEx your garage and door code so they can automatically open your door. Well, no, then I would never do that. Maybe my garage, if I still lived in Vegas where there's porch pirates and stuff like that, I've had, I get packages delivered all the time, and I've had $1,000 worth of equipment sitting on my doorstep for like a week because we were on a short road trip or something and something got delivered early. And I'm like, well, it's just going to sit there. No one's going to touch it. And we're in Montana. So we started locking our door because the wife got a little spooked by something. I think it was deer. But prior to that, like, I don't know where the keys are to my house. I have no clue. My keychain is this. Here, I'll show you. That is my keychain. All right. And the only reason it has this is so it's easier for me to grasp. I don't need any other keys than my truck keys. And I wish I didn't need those. I wish I had the ignition where you could just leave it in your pocket and you walk up and the door unlocks and the car starts and all that. I used to have a car like that. It's cool, but it's not something I'm going to pay for. But I do have keys, technically speaking. I think they're at home in the safe. Like it's got our storage key. Like I need my storage key or my storage key. That's the only thing I can think of that actually, like sometimes I talk to the wife, I'm like, hey, I need that key. And she's like, I'll get it for you. Cause she always has stuff piled in front of my gun safe. Let's see here. Veritasium did the LED video. Did they? And Simon says there is an Amazon doorknob you can get that will allow Amazon drivers to open your door and drop packages inside your door. Hard pass. That is not kosher as far as I'm concerned. Steven says some of us choose to tune in here instead of the Super Bowl. Come on, Steve. We all know you're a NASCAR guy. You don't really care about the Super Bowl, do you? But thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Bader says, I'm calling Ripley's for remembering the top of the hour. And I watched Top Gun Maverick last Friday. What did you think? I thought it was okay. A lot of people were just over the top about it. I was like, meh. And Infernal says, the Blue Wrench guys keep guys like me in line. The Bears held a grudge against me since the morning live streams. Boy, you know who misses the morning live streams more than anybody else is the wife. She loved those, but she doesn't have time for, when we homeschooled, that was one thing. Now we got kids in school. She's volunteering a bunch. We're up here 24/7. So she's gotten involved in all these different causes and stuff. She's busier than I am. Rail says, that's my Jeep. Is it really? Give me a deal on it. I don't need a Jeep. I want a Jeep. I always want a Jeep. I'm a Jeep guy at heart. My first cool vehicle that I bought, like my first car was a 73 Chevy Vega with the aluminum block 4-cylinder, aluminum head 4-cylinder, that leaked oil, like the Exxon Valdez, and the rust was holding it together. It had a hole in the floorboard so you could, if the cops pulled you over, you could drop your beers down there through that. No, kids, we would never do that. It's clearly a joke. And the fuse box was jumpered with alligator clips all over the place to keep things running. Yeah, it was a quality car. My second car after that was a 1981 or 82 Toyota Corolla Tercel. Actually, it ran great, but it just died. Something happened. I don't remember what happened to it, but the engine seized up on it for some reason. And I stayed on top of like oil changes and all that stuff. I think a line blew while I was driving, and it just dumped all the oil. I had that happen to 2 cars. I've had a lot of cars, so. And then after that, I bought. It was the first car I bought with payments, and I bought a CJ7. Absolutely loved and hated that truck. It's I don't know if technically the Jeep, call it a Jeep, it's not really a truck, I guess. But oh my gosh, in the winter, so cold. I can remember driving just completely bundled up, just waiting for that heater to finally kick in. But rather during the summer, top off, windshield down, glasses on, eating bugs in the face. Love that thing. Steve says, I wish I had room for a 70-inch, but I just don't. That's why I say 50. It's the biggest one that would fit on my TV stand. Same here. We actually got rid of the 70-inch because it wouldn't fit. I think we're rocking a Sony 65 4K. Everything I have is 4K these days. Right now I'm sitting in front of a Sony, I think it's a 42-inch 4K. I can probably tell you. Just a minute. I'm guessing. Let's take it out. There's 42 inches. Lock that in. Take out my camera. Yep. Right on. 42-inch Sony. I don't know what model it is, but I use it as my TV monitor. I had a 50-inch. I still have it. It's over there. It's the Amazon 50-inch, the Fire TV 50-inch, and it was decent. And I used it for several years, but I had a bigger desk. I went to a smaller desk. Couldn't justify because the desk is also not as deep, so it had to be much closer to me. So it feels about the same because it's closer, but honestly, the Sony is just so much better color-wise than everything else. And I think we're about to lose our primary. So we'll go to our secondary here in just a minute. And Matthew says, no ribs, but chilly here. Not Cincy, though. Also not as hot as I'd like the as I like, so the wife and son can also partake. I know that kind of situation. I've had to deal with that before. Kurt says, I didn't think they could broadcast in 4K. I think it's all broadcasting, and almost all of it's broadcasting in 4K now, or simulated 4K. You have to get like a downsized sampler box to run a regular sub 4K television or sub HD. I don't know. I honestly don't have an antenna on my TV. I haven't had an antenna in a decade. Easy. I don't watch broadcast TV. I just don't. It's like eating candy. It'll rot your teeth. And I can't keep track of all these battery gimmicks. Some of them come and go. Some of them stick around. And Marine X says coffee time. Yeah. Cheers to your coffee. That's a little bit of the, ooh, that hit right. What is it? Wild Turkey, single barrel proof. I think it's single barrel. I could be wrong. Saw something new for the Milwaukee Forge. Yeah, they're the pipeline that they did like a week or two ago or something like that. They said they're coming out with tabless batteries. Do you have any experience with curved monitors? I'd like one for my gaming PC, but I also use it for CAD for engineering school, and I don't want to mess up proportions or scaling. I've never used one. I've seen them demoed. I've seen them. I have friends who have them, stuff like that. I've never had one on my desk, and I've never used one extensively, so I can't really answer that. But they look cool. I like the ones. They have ones now that you can actually bend. They'll be flat, and then you grab them and they bend. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. I learned something this weekend. Lifting a 70-pound cast iron V8 intake manifold while leaning over a fender when I was 20 was no problem. Now that I'm almost 52, not so much. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've learned. Like I'm a big guy and I've always had a super strong back, and I just lift stuff. Just like, nope, I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna lift it. And I can still do that, but now I feel like something's gonna break and it's not gonna be the thing I'm lifting. So I don't do it as much. I need to get into the gym is what I need to do. Green has more variation than yellow. Mistyped last message, okay? Green approximate yellow through the blend of blue and yellow and has more variations. I believe that's why RGB and not RYB. Steve says, that's really cool. Duncan got Griffin a really cool set of skates. Some of my greatest childhood memories are me going to my cousin's hockey game with my grandpa. Yeah, Griffin, it's funny. The older kids are just like, I tell them stories when I was young, and they're like, Dad. I tell Griffin stories about when I was young. He's like, that's so cool. I want to do that. And he heard all sorts of stories about pickup games back when I lived in Iowa. And pickup games were in the park. They would like shovel out part of the park, the little flat area, to create a berm to hold the water, and then they'd open up a fire hydrant or something, fill it up, let it freeze, and we'd play pickup hockey games down there, and we got a lot of grief because there was so many like local kids who'd come down, like kids who lived in the neighborhood, and me and my buddies would walk about half a mile down there to play, and we'd show up and we've got the good skates, the good sticks, we're wearing gloves because I don't know how to hold a hockey stick without gloves. And they're like, you guys, you're all fancy with all your big money and stuff. And my parents, I never understood how because they never had a ton of money. They were always living right at the edge. But for a good while, they made hockey, work. And then suddenly they were like, we're not paying for hockey anymore. Okay. And it wasn't like they were doing worse. It was just they suddenly decided they didn't want to pay for hockey. So, the Jim says, I don't know where my key is. Might be in the safe. I wish I knew where the safe was. Yeah, and I got 2 new gun safes. They're not safes. They're metal cabinets with a security lock on them. I mean, literally, like they're sheet metal, but they're kind of cool, and they're not super expensive, but they're not super big. They're pretty tiny. I've got I think 1 lever action, a couple bolt actions, and 2 shotguns, field gauge style. And the reason for that is we're going to test to see what actually fits, how many fit. I've got some, sidearm kind of stuff we're going to put in there as well, just to see what all will go in there. I think it'll be a fun video. I really wanted one for down here for just like the occasional thing, so I have access to stuff here. And I keep, and don't want to say too much for YouTube, but I keep some protection with me in the shop. I've always done that since my first shop in California, because I'm sitting there with a bunch of expensive stuff, and I had a car roll by with a bunch of young guys who did not look like they needed woodworking tools, staring at me at my shop, and they slowed down real slow and they stared in there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start keeping something, in the shop with me in case somebody decides that they're going to try and make a withdrawal, as it were. You were right about NASCAR part and the football part, LOL. Matthew says, I could maybe see doing the special Amazon doorknob thing or whatever for like a small dedicated shed or doghouse or whatever. I could see that. Like if I had an outbuilding kind of thing, or like a separated garage, like my house in California had a 2-car garage, both attached to the house, had a 2-car garage this way and a 1-car garage going across the front. It was weird. And I could definitely see like the 1-car garage being like, here, you can have a clicker to that, put everything in there. That would be great, because the 2-car garage had direct access to the house, but the 1-car garage was just kind of, that was it. And how do you feel about the NFL's obsession with Taylor Swift and the theories about rigging scripting games? I could kind of see the theory about rigging scripting games, but it was supposed to be, according to all the theorists, it was supposed to be San Francisco versus Baltimore. And that was the big, it's rigged theory. And that didn't happen. So much for the theories. Honestly, I don't care if they rig it. I'm not bought into the NFL anymore. I'm not a huge I watch some of the highlights. That's what I do. So the NFL channel on YouTube they'll take the whole game and they'll do just the plays that matter. And it's like a 30-minute video, and I will speed watch through it and watch the whole thing in like 5 minutes. And I know everything that happened that anybody's going to talk about. And then I can have a chat with my kids and other people who actually watch the NFL and watch football. Hey, did you see the game? I'm like, totally. Yeah, that's me. Jeep is very capable in the snow and ice, but a pain to get in and out of. Getting old sucks. One of the vehicles that we had that my wife actually misses is we bought her I bought her, but I guess technically we bought her a Jeep Renegade. Yes, the little one made by Fiat. And it was the 4-door, and it was the Trailhawk, top of the line Trailhawk. It had everything. It had like just some of the most beautiful leather seats you've ever seen. It had all the bells and whistles. And I, being a Jeep guy, wanted to make fun of it. She absolutely loved it, but she admitted we sold it because it was too small. Our kids were getting bigger. Duncan, at that point, was like 6 foot, and like he can't fit in the vehicle anymore in the back seat. You can't have 3 kids in that back seat. And so I had taken it out for a drive. It was just me and a couple of the kids, and we'd had one of our big snowstorms. It was a couple years ago. And we'd gotten like 14 inches of snow, and I took it off road, and it was insanely capable. And I did manage to get it stuck in a ditch. I was trying to drive through the ditch because I'm like, this thing, where won't it go? And I think we high centered on some snow. And I realized at that point that I wasn't even in snow traction. It has a smart snow traction mode. So I'm sitting there going, oh, I slipped it into snow traction. It went, the wheels, when I accelerated, tried to figure out what the grip was. And then I could feel it go clunk, 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 clunk. And we drove out. That was insane. But it was the height of the used car craze. So we actually sold it for more than we paid for it, or what we paid for. I think we sold it for what we paid for it. I sold my half-ton truck around the same time. It was great because we got out of all of our car payments. We bought the Suburban for like $3,000. It still runs. It's our beater. And now we've got the Ford Expedition XL, and we've got my Ram, and we got no car payments. And life's great. No house payment, no car payment. Man, it feels good. And let's see. Mike says, my first car was a 78 Ford Fairmont Coupe with a Pinto 2300 four-banger engine, 4-speed. Wow. Sasquatch says, first car was a 91 Dodge Dakota with a 5.2 V8. Traded out for a 79 C10. Wrecked that like high schoolers do and went with an 81 K20. Wow. Man, we all remember, all of us older folk remember when you used to be able to get like a K20 or a C10 for nothing. People were throwing those things away. So many cars that I've looked at where I'm like, oh, we could pick up one of those. How about this? How about a Bronco 2? Go and buy yourself a Bronco 2. Have you looked at the prices on those things? They're not high-end trucks. But my gosh, the price on them is insane. My 05 Silverado has a rusted through floorboard. I call it the bathroom. No more stops. Zap says, using a Samsung 43-inch 4K as a computer monitor works great. Steve's like, I got him measuring things, folks. Nice. Mater says, my first car was a 76 Pontiac Astaire. I don't know, is that a Astaire? I think it's a Astaire wagon. And my second was a 74 AMC Gremlin X. Ooh, the AMC Gremlin. I had a buddy whose first car was the AMC Eagle, like a used one. Oh, that was an ugly car. The Flying Half Fernal Craftsman says, the Flying Half wants me to get a TV for the spare office computer so I can edit videos in there with her and play video games with her in there. Oh, that sounds like fun. Chris says, hey, Dena Tools. Zap says, ATSC 3.0 over-the-air 4K TV transmissions in USA. I don't believe many broadcasters use it, as I'd rather use their sub-channels for lower quality streams. Yeah, I don't get the whole broadcasting anymore. It's like, you look at, there's a main channel, then there's all these sub-channels, and I don't deal with it. I don't watch over-the-air. All the programming sucks. There's nothing on over the air that I feel like I have to watch. The only thing I do watch is the local news out of Bozeman, and they put all the important stuff, they put it all on YouTube. The weather and like all the highlights for the day are on YouTube every day. That's all I need. Anyway. Speaking of drinks, be sure you catch Cask and Ember for Jeff's new YouTube channel. Steve, thank you so much. What he's talking about is I have a completely separate channel called Cask and Ember. And if you look closely, right there behind those lights, you will see several bottles of bourbon and whiskey, all American kind of stuff. I don't drink the Scottish or Irish stuff, or much less, God help me, what the Canadians call whiskey. Somebody needs to have an intervention with Canada. And Canada, if you're listening, that's not whiskey you're drinking. It's moose piss. Someone had to tell you. Oh, this isn't Cask and Ember. My bad. Sorry. So Cask and Ember is adults only. Don't bring the kids. Really, it's guy talk. It's a little more raw than you're gonna get here on the Den of Tools, where we tried to be a little bit more a little more classy, as it were. Not too classy. You know, we don't want to put on airs or anything. But anyway, be sure and check it out. We do a live, it was every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. We do something over there. And then we have the Bear's Den where I put stuff there whenever the mood catches me. I need to be more consistent. I really do. I'm working on a video right now called a 55-year-old dude has 250,000 subscribers and used a cell phone and webcam for 8 years. What's your excuse? I think that'll irk some people. Every year there's a whole new group of people saying, I want to make it on YouTube, but you can't make it anymore. All the old timers have been there and they've sucked up all the bandwidth and nobody can make it. And then you see people like Torque Test Channel come out of nowhere and, bypass me, and good for them. They work their asses off for it. They do, a lot more tool testing kind of stuff and they get there in the nitty gritty. And there's all sorts of people doing that every single year that just come out of nowhere and explode and become these huge channels. Marine X, his channel has got some legs. I think he's like 60, 70, 80,000 subscribers or something. He's going to hit 100K in the next 6 months. Easy peasy. And there's a lot of people doing great stuff out there. And people would say, oh, you can't make it anymore. No, that's not the case. You just don't want to make videos that people want to watch. And if that's fine, if you just want to make the videos for you, that's great. Then do that. But don't complain about that no one's watching it, because that'd be like, I'm cooking my favorite dinner for me every single night and no one else wants to come and eat it with me. Well, you're making your favorite dinner. You're not making their dinner. So, before Craftsman says, bought a curved monitor for the Flying Halves gaming rig last year. Will never buy curved again. It's a gimmick. I could totally believe you. I mean, I used to go to something called, not CES, E3. And it's you know what CES is. So imagine CES just for the video game industry. And I used to go to that. And there was another one in San Francisco that was like even more like hardcore gaming industry kind of stuff. And I used to go to both of those. And I got chances to play with like, not just like a curved, but like a hemispherical monitor. It had a projector projected in a hemisphere kind of stuff. That was pretty cool. But I think you're right. I think it's a gimmick for certain situations. I'll tell you what looks really cool is, have you seen the setups? They have people who are remote operating heavy equipment. So like they're running excavators from home. And they have like a huge monitor kind of situation. They have a chair with the full controls and everything. That is so cool. I almost want to try getting a job doing that. That would be pretty cool. Speaking of drinks, be sure to, we already read that one. Chris says, I got a hell of a deal on a Snap-on KMP1163 Masters toolbox that I could not pass up. That's awesome. There's some dude up here in Bozeman who's got a Snap-on box, but it looks like one of the old school Craftsman, where it's got like the same kind of drawers as these, and then it's got the top box that sits on top, and it looks like something you buy from Ace for $150 these days, because it is. That's exactly what it is. It was the old school one, and they've since gone on to bigger and better things. And the guy wants $700 for it. I'm like, good luck with that. And let's see here. Oh, and Zaf posted a link to Casket Ember. You guys are fantastic. See why I love the mods? They're always doing stuff like that. Looking out for us. Jim Grady says, I'm off. You folks enjoy your night. Jim, you have a good one. You take care. Amazon driver review. Hello, Jeff. Thank you. I've opened my own business. Thank you. Okay. Wohawk says, see what Nerf guns will fit in those cabinets. Man, anyway, my first car was a 51 Chevy Deluxe 2-door coupe. Oh, with the big flex there. Zaf says, I was just reading in the newest digital TV / ATSC cover the air standards lets them encrypt the broadcast so you cannot record it. Okay. What did you want in to record? I guess maybe sports. So I was watching Taylor play football. Oh my gosh. I like some of her music. I'm not like a huge fan or anything like that. I couldn't name a single one of her songs. The Shake It Off one. I think that's like the only one I can remember. Steve says mini company Zaps. Or you're talking to Steve. Never mind. It's the Tarlay Super Bowl. Isn't the Super Bowl a high flow Australian toilet? It might be. And it is in Vegas after all, so who knows what's going on down there. Man, I'm getting crotchety as I get old. I did see part of like the early, like around noon, and they had all the broadcasters in a suite in Vegas, and they were doing a spoof on the whole, is it called Bachelor Party or something like that? The one where, one guy loses a tooth, another guy gets a face tattoo. There's a tiger in the bathroom and they can't find their friend. And they're all doing a spoof on that. And I'm just sitting here going, that's a like rated R movie about the guys making really bad life choices. And here you are spoofing that as this is family entertainment. Man, I'm getting old and crotchety. And Taylor Swifty scores San Francisco 10, KC 12. The best thing about Kansas City is the ribs. I love Kansas City style ribs. I really do. So long as Taylor Swift isn't out there complaining about other members of the Chiefs, as the ex-Mrs. Tom Brady did. Who cares if she's at the game? Always celebs at the game. They always get on TV. I don't care. I don't care about any of that kind of stuff. It's a Montana thing. That's what I love about Montana. You can walk through, you can be the biggest celeb, and almost no one's ever going to say anything to you or talk to you. They don't really care what you're doing. That's great. You're famous. I'll even run into, not that I'm famous, but I'll run into people who know me. And what I get is like, I'll be talking to somebody and I'll make a reference to something. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's based on what I do. And they're like, oh yeah, I know who you are. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't have to explain it. And that's it. That's all, the whole comment. I know who you are. Moving on. And it's great. My daughter gets really self-conscious about people knowing who she is. And it's funny because my daughter gets super self-conscious, but very few people know that I'm a YouTuber. I had a guy, actually, tangent. I had a guy come in. I was donating one of the big power supply banks to a local nonprofit. And he walked in and he just stops and he turns and he goes, "You have a whole studio in here." And I'm like, "Yep." And he looks over and he sees the Dental Tools logo on the wall. And he's like, "You're him." I'm like, "Every morning when I wake up." He's like, "No, you're like that YouTube guy, the Dental Tools." I said, "Yeah." And a lot of people around here locally know that I live here and that stuff, they don't make a big deal out of it usually. He's like, I didn't realize you were based in Livingston. He's like, "I've been following you for years." He's like, "I don't think I'm subscribed, but I watch a lot of your videos. Anytime I'm looking for something, I'll go and check out, see if you've talked about it or have a sale or something going on about it." He's like, "I know who you are." He's like, "That's just wild that you live here." It wasn't that like, "Oh my gosh, it's super cool. I'm meeting somebody who's a celebrity." He just thought it was cool that the guy that he watches is in Livingston and it's cool for Livingston. And I like that. Anyway, they're renovating an old grain silo and they're going to turn it into a multi-use nonprofit maker space and a bunch of other stuff. And so I'm donating a bunch of equipment. I got a laser cutter I'm going to give to them, and they already got a saw stop, so I can't get rid of my table saws, and a 3D printer and a bunch of other stuff. So anyway, I love supporting them. But anyway, I was going to say is The daughter gets really weird about people recognizing her, but the two boys are like, yeah, whatever. Like the entire school that my oldest goes to, they all know his dad's a YouTuber, and they think it's super cool. But that's down in Vegas, whereas up here, people are like, man, unless your dad's JB Mooney, nobody cares. Steve says, I'd love to have a Suburban. My wife will not drive a vehicle that is not like Suburban size or shaped. That's all she wants. We've got a Suburban and the Expedition XL. I've talked about other things. She's like, how many rows of seats does it have? I'm like, it's got 3 rows. No trunk, but 3 rows. She's like, can I fit a lawnmower in the back with 7 people in it? I'm like, no. She's bizarre. I know she's bizarre because she married me. You got to be a little bit off kilter to do something like that. I'm going to have to, Kill King 110 says, I'm going to have to get a new vehicle myself. Hopefully I can find a domestic old school real pickup truck. I've been trying to find a pickup truck. I want to get one for around town. I want one with a stick so I can teach my kids to drive a stick. But everything with a stick, people want stupid amounts of money for. Like you'll see beaters, absolute beaters. Like this is a classic, and it's got the rare stick shift and it's got this. I want $15,000 for it. I know what I got. Ran when parked. I'm like, screw you, dude. The thing is a rusting pile of metal. And there goes camera 1. Well, that's weird. Okay, there we go. So we switch over to camera 2. How you like that? How you like me meow? Hold on. I think that Mrs. just texted me. So. If you can read it, it says, I heard that. Love you, sweetie. All right. So you're supposed to be asleep, relaxing, getting rejuvenated. Not supposed to be sending me text messages in the middle of my live stream. What's going on? Now that paused. Why are you paused? Hold on. Deactivate and reactivate that. There we go. Reactivated. Hopefully it'll stay. Hopefully it won't freeze again. We'll see. Anyway, the only problem is that now the camera is way over. I guess I can move this over. We have the technology. We can do it. All right. And let me take this and let me pop out the chat, minimize that. Put the chat right there. There we go. Rock on with our bad selves. So what do you think? What do you think about the difference here between, this is the Sony ZV E10, which is like with kit lens. It's like I think it's like $800. The other camera with lens is $2,200. So what do you think about the difference? I definitely notice a color difference. With my face, I look a little bit more washed out. I think I got the ISO and everything. You don't care about the ISO. Here I'm geeking out about camera stuff, and you're all like, we don't care. Get on with the live stream. Let me stop that. Okay. The tank says, my mom's coworker tried to sell me an old Bronco 2, sight unseen. Until I pressed for pictures, entire back glass shattered and 4 flat tires parked for multiple years with the clone V6. That V6 is trash. I'm sorry, but I drove one. I had one for a couple years, and I drove it till it died. I think I paid $500 for it, drove it till it died. It was a fun little truck. But I'm not paying the kind of money they're asking for these things. Steve says, my wife's cousin, who is 20 years old, just got her first car. It's 2011 Equinox, which recently had new timing set put in the engine. I like the Equinoxes. I'm not against them. I don't know how reliable they are. Matthew says, I'm finally getting ready to cut the cord on my cable subscription. Oh my gosh. So the wife and I, Duncan was little, and Eleanor, I think, had just been born. So Jess is staying at home, working from home with the kids. So he's 3, let's call it 4, 17, so 12, 13 years ago. And she and I are talking about, because we're living in San Francisco, everything costs stupid amounts of money. She's working from home, not even working a full time. So we need to cut some costs. I'm like, we need to get rid of cable. And she's like, we can't do that. I said, we've got whatchamacallit, we've got internet. We can just live or stream everything. And we had a big long discussion. She's like, fine, I guess we can do that. So a couple days go by, I'm at work, and I remember, oh, that's right, we were gonna cancel that. So I call them up, I cancel cable. They the next day they cut it because that was like the billing date, and I get a call from my wife, who is not a happy camper. What the hell happened? Did you not pay the bill? And I'm like, no, I didn't pay the bill because we said we're going to get rid of it. But we talked about it. We didn't actually say we were doing it. I'm like, we had a discussion. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. So I did it. She has this thing like, you have a discussion and you come to an agreement about what you're going to do. Then before you do it, you're supposed to have a second discussion to clarify the previous discussion on the bill, about the bill, clarifying the bill for the passage of the bill and the post-passage of the bill before you take action on the bill. She wants like 3 check-ins along the way. I'm the type of like, okay, we should do this? Yes, great. I will do it. That's it. Decision done. Moving on. Yeah, it took years for her to understand that that's the way I operate. And I still do not understand the concept of, hey, let's do this. Okay, we're going to do it. Great. Why the hell did you do that? Because we said we're going to do it. Oh my gosh. Let's see what she's complaining about now. Oh, she's letting me know the video stopped. Yes. Video stopped, but we're back. We're back. Oh, reaching for the soda. I just injured myself reaching behind me. Kids, that's what 55 will do to you. All right, let's go back here. The Informed Craftsman says, we haven't had antenna or cable in 20-ish years and don't miss it. In the hotels, I remember why we dropped cable. Nothing worth watching there. Exactly. And I constantly think, ooh, we're in a hotel room. We can watch some cable TV. And then I sit there and go, click, 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 click. This is trash. Why are we watching this? Why doesn't it have YouTube? Which is why I almost never get a hotel room unless it's going to be for one night. If it's going to be for one night, I get a hotel room because they're easier to check in and check out of. Anything else, I do an Airbnb. I can get in. It feels like a regular house. I can be relaxed. And they almost always have a TV with YouTube or some other, all the streaming stuff. And I can sign in. And half the time, other people have left their Netflix or other stuff signed in. So then I get to go in and create the profile Crazy Uncle Eddie. So if you ever get to an Airbnb and you see that one of the profiles is Crazy Uncle Eddie, then you know that they stayed logged in someplace that I have stayed. My kids lose their mind. They think, you're not doing that. You're not really doing that. Sure I am. They left it logged in. This will teach them to not leave it logged in. That's all I'm doing. The Kill King 110 says the ATSC 3.0 standard fixes the problem that the 2.0 standard, oh my gosh, 3.0 has its own issue. I was just going to say, all it does is it fixed old issues and created brand new exciting issues. Every bit of tech does that. Project Farm went years without getting the attention he deserves. Did he though? Because he kind of blew up when he was doing the what do you call it? Seafoam stuff. And Nicholas Skirty says, first car was a 52 Nash Ambassador. It sucked except for the fold down seat that made it a playpen. And Steve says, I really want a 3-monitor setup for driving racing games. I used to have, at one time at my work, I had a 4-monitor setup, and the 4 monitors were too much. And I rocked a 3-monitor setup at work forever. And most people I know, most people I did, programmers would usually do a 3-monitor setup with 1 monitor vertical. And now LG has this like semi-vertical designed, almost square monitor that's for that specific reason. I'm running a 2-monitor setup. I have the 42 4K, and then I've got a cheap AOC over here that I just use as my dump monitor. So anything I'm working on my major stuff, I'll throw my email over there, or when I'm editing, I'll put the main editing window over there. I'll put the bar over on this one, or anyway, I could probably use a 3rd monitor, but I don't know where I'd put it. What I probably need 2 vertical monitors the size of this one. It's a 22-inch vertical monitors on either side of my 42, and that way I can have like email on here, like window over here. Problem is I need to make room for my other camera to come in on it. I'm not liking this view. It's not a great view. Anyway, by the way, that's the main door that we never use to the shop. Here's a fun fact. So I talked to the landlord, because a lot of people are asking, why does your shop have a wood floor if it has a garage door? So the garage door was added after the fact. This used to be the building that the city stored oil in. They had cans of oil and fuel oil. And the height that the door is at, which is like about right about here, the whole floor was that height. And it was the same kind of wood that if you saw my snowblower, not the snowblower video. Well, the snowblower video did it, as well as the salt dispensing video, the seed spreader video. You can see the kind of deck that's outside. Well, that wood went all the way through the shop, and it was at that level. And I mean, you lost like 3 feet. I don't know why they did it, just the way they built it, like 100 years ago, whenever. So when the guy who bought this, they're like, well, that seems a waste of space. So that wood was coated in oil and stuff that got spilled. So they tore all that out, dropped the floor down, put in a wood floor over the ground, and it's insulated. So the floor is insulated, the walls are insulated, the ceiling's insulated, which is why right now it is below freezing outside. I'm sitting here in Crocs, shorts, a t-shirt. I have no heater running, and it's currently 7 degrees in here still. So, yay. Anyway, enough about that. E3 is officially no more. They canceled this year due to a lack of companies. Yeah, you know what it was? It was what was it? There's an online Penny Arcade. It's an online comic strip, and they started doing their own thing, and they started getting companies going, well, we want to go to that because we don't really need an industry event. And they don't need an industry event. It's kind of stupid, really, because you're just showing off to people who are already in the industry. And the video game industry is, I've said it many times, it's incestuous in that you can't get into the industry unless you're in the industry. And once you're in the industry, everyone knows you. I still get calls from people going, hey, you want a job? And I'm like, nope. Thanks. Like, well, do you know anyone else who does? Nope. Thanks. It's really weird. I could quit all this and probably make a decent living as a recruiter, just going through my Rolodex and calling people going, hey, I can get you a job with so-and-so, make you more money. And because people just jump around, they do these circles and they end up with the same company. It's really weird, but there's no reason for an industry show. So some companies decided to do their own thing. Other people were doing the penny arcade thing, and other people were just like, yeah, we don't need it. Well, the magazines and the websites and the YouTube channels will cover it for us. Infernal Craftsman says, yes, I have seen the remote equipment ops. I wish I had the talent for it. Eventually, I will build her a real flight sim rig once the house is done. That is cool. I like the flight sim kind of stuff. Man, I saw somebody selling locally. It's like $110,000, and they've got it's not a Kit Fox. I think it's a Piper Cub 2-seater. It's the tandem one before the other one. I'd rather have the Kit Fox side by side, but it's a bush plane with the big super like Alaska style bush tires on it, and I would love to get involved in that, but and I've already gotten my drone pilot's license, which I know it's not the same thing, but as far as like the book side of it, it is the same. At least when I took it back in the day, it was the exact same that they were giving out to your standard single engine pilot's license. So I would just have to do the actual flying part. Hold on. I got to sit up. I'm sliding out of my chair. All right. Let's see here. I don't know who this Taylor Swift football player is, but he sounds fast. And Tank says Steven says I mainly play Euro Truck Simulator 2 and the American Truck Simulator. And my kids got into that farm simulator for a little bit. That looked really cool. And The Hangover, that's the movie I was thinking of. Jay Santiago says I ordered a Predator 9500 at an awesome deal I couldn't pass up. After the 20% coupon and the 10% for opening up a card and $300 in gift money, it came out to $1,600 out of pocket. Stoked. That's awesome. It is a serious generator. I love it. I've got 2 generators that size, and I'm trying to figure out which one to keep because the Predator is a known quantity and it's a solid generator. But the other one is a third party, not quite as well-known brand, but it's got remote start and it's dual fuel. So but I don't need to keep them both. My wife, if you're watching, somebody tell Jess that she needs to let go of one of them because we don't need 2 10,000, generators. We just don't. Steven says, you've been in parades in Livingston promoting your channel. I've been in one, and it was weird. And my wife constantly wants to promote the stuff, and I get it. She's got this idea like, hey, if we get the name out, people know about it. I don't want to promote locally. We're in a small area as it is. Most of the people who are into this kind of stuff have probably run across the channel, and most of our viewers are not in Montana. I mean, if you think about it, the population of Montana I think the entire population of Montana is about the same as the population of Vegas. So it just doesn't make sense to advertise locally. The Zap says, it sounds like your wife wants the new Ford Transit all-wheel drive. Don't get her started. She absolutely loves the Sprinter van conversions, like where it's like a friend of hers has one, and she wants that in the worst way. I tell her about reliability and all that, because doesn't care, wants one. And I'll be honest, I've told the kids, Duncan hates it because he just thinks I'm just too utilitarian, as he says. I would be super happy with like a small Class C or a Super B with like a driver, or if it had like auto drive, like if they got self-driving down, I would buy a small Class C, and that would be my daily driver. And I would just sit in the back and I'd do work, and I could go to Bozeman or go wherever I need to do, or head down to Vegas, and I'd never touch the steering wheel, and I could take a nap, take a shower, fix some food. And like I told the kids, like when we lived in Vegas, I'm like, you could, or even here, you could get everyone in the RV the night before, go to sleep, wake up, take a shower, eat breakfast, and step out and be at Disney World. It's like a teleporter, basically, because at night, it's like what cruise ships do when they're sailing the Caribbean. You have a great time, you go to bed, and the next morning you wake up and you're at a new port of call. And it's just magically you've traveled overnight. Mama Bear knows the hard reality of life. And let's see here. I just bought a 95, Hawks is about 95 GMC Sierra extended cab. It's the long wheelbase. Haven't driven that since I traded off my 87 Suburban. It's taken me a minute to adjust. Sounds like a great truck. Infernal Craftsman says, I've gotten strange looks at car swap meets from people, and I think they're trying to figure out if they know me or if I'm just that funny looking. The Chris says, I'm not hip on all that high-tech studio equipment. I wasn't. I used to be really big into photography, like back in high school and stuff. And I got away from it, and it all changed. And I had to really I have no idea what I'm doing. Don't ask me for. I just watched a bunch of videos from other people doing the stuff, and I looked at the value. Like, so these use the APS-C sensor, which is not quite a full frame, because I was like, okay, I'm going to get a full frame camera, high quality, professional grade. And then I looked at the cost of lenses. I'm like, that's idiotic. I'm getting an APS-C, because by the time it all gets compressed and put onto YouTube, you can't really tell unless you're looking at them side by side. Heck, most people can't tell the difference between the ZEV-10 and the $800 camera versus the $2,000 camera. Mama Bear be 20 minutes behind in the video. What we have here is a failure to communicate. I can't get the accent right. Oh my gosh. I love that movie. I love it. You know what pisses me off? You can't get Cannonball Run on any of the streaming services. I can't find it anywhere. And there should be a law against that. I love that movie. Ecotech engines in the Chevys are known for timing chains and guide fails. You act like it isn't a minimum 12-hour hassle to cancel cable. Well, that's why I would do it at work, because I would close my office door and I would put it on, because I had to do a lot of this stuff, because I was often dealing with internet service providers and stuff like that for running fiber and whatnot. And so I just got really good at leaving the thing on speaker on my desk, and people knew that if I'm sitting there and they could look through the window and see the green light on, and they knew I was on hold or something, they could just walk in. But and they just sit there, and you'd be working away, and 3 hours later it'd be beep, how can I help you? And if you don't answer within 5 seconds, they hang up on you. God, I hate that. Oh, speaking of my recent most hated thing, and that is Razer keyboards. So Razer, a company known for gamers by gamers, right? They used to be a really cool, gaming equipment company. So I needed a new keyboard because I'd broken a bunch of the keys on my old one, which actually I really liked. And I might get another one of those again. But I thought, so I got this keyboard, and I thought I was having problems where I was just fat fingering keys until keys stopped working. And then they would work, and then they wouldn't work. And I'd have keys. At first it was the J key would repeat a bunch, and then it was the P, and then it was the A, and then the A stopped working, and then it started working again, and then the space bar started repeating. And I'm like, this isn't me. Like I finally went and I pressed a button, and I did it on purpose, and nothing happened. And then I pressed it again, and it went brrr. Okay, so I did all the updates, everything else kept happening. And I had it for 2 months at this point, maybe 3 months, because I thought I was just me. And it was so intermittent. Like I'd go 2 or 3 days, not a problem. Then I'd have a problem. And then some days I'd have like all the problems, and then I'd have no problems. So finally I reach out I try to call them, go through this whole voicemail thing. If you have this kind of problem, you need to submit a ticket online. Fine. I go to submit a ticket online. I have to show my proof of purchase. I download my proof of purchase from Amazon. I ordered, it was bought from Amazon, ships from Amazon, totally covered. I checked before I bought it, make sure that they're a licensed vendor. And so I downloaded that. I gave them all my contact information. I had to answer this whole slew of questions. Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? I did all of that. 3 or 4 days later, I get an email. Thanks for contacting us. Have you tried these issues? I'm like, dude, those are the same issues that you asked me when I submitted the ticket that I said yes to. So you know that I already answered that. So this is ridiculous. I said essentially that. And I responded all via email. 24 hours later. Oh, thank you for that. We need to, have you done, these other things? I'm like, yes, I did this. Okay, well, we need to know what your serial number is. I responded again. You have my serial number. I had to put it in there. Okay, well, can you tell us the make and model? Every time they respond, it's at least 24 hours. They only respond Monday through Friday. It's at least 24 hours and no reply on the weekends. So 2 weeks going by, and all they've done is asked me the same questions that they asked when I submitted the trouble ticket. Finally, they said, okay, it looks like you have a problem. We need your shipping information. I'm like, great, finally it's going to get taken. Give my shipping information. They go, great, well, now we need your proof of purchase. I already submitted my proof of purchase. You have it. Then I get a response from somebody else going, hey, I've reviewed your account and thanks for reaching out to us. We really appreciate you as a customer, but we're going to have to deny your warranty claim because you purchased this from seller, some random name, and not from an authorized reseller. You need to be careful when you purchase these things, who you purchase it from. I would suggest you go back and you try to remedy it through the seller. My response is, why are you effing lying to me? We both know where I bought it from. 2 days go by. Oh, we're really sorry. There was some miscommunication because there was multiple items on your receipt and the other item was from that previous buyer. We see now that it was sold by Amazon. Bullcrap. You're a huge company. You guys Amazon's probably your number one selling retailer. You get these things all the time. You know exactly what to look for. You knew this is, and I do product testing for a living. All right. And I've done purchasing as part of my job for a living for years. I can tell when a company has set up a system that puts customer service first. And I can tell when a company sets up a system where the system is there as a roadblock to get you to go away. Case in point, Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight's like, we don't care if we lose money on the tool. We want you as a lifelong customer. Tecton, we want you as a lifelong customer. All of them. Rigid, we have a lifetime service agreement. All you have to do is fill out all this paperwork and then hope that we honor it. 9 times out of 10, we don't. That's a company that wants you to go away. I'm sorry if you're a Rigid fan. That's the truth. Rigid has set up a system to make you go away, whereas Tecton and Harbor Freight have set up systems. They're like, we want you as a lifetime customer. And I told Razor, I'm like, never mind, cancel it. I'm done playing with you. You lied to me. And the last one, the part that actually made me, they finally admit to everything. They finally got all my contact information. 3 weeks later, this should have been a single email, but 3 weeks later, we've got this resolved. Okay, we're going to send you an RMA authorization. You need to ship the product back to us, at which point we will evaluate it. And if we find that there is indeed a problem with the device, we will replace the item. So what am I supposed to do for a keyboard while you're determining if you're actually going to cover your warranty? I mean, first of all, it's an intermittent issue. So you could take 5 minutes, look at this, go, nope, it's fine, and send me back the same one because I know damn well that's what you're going to do. I'm like, I'm done. I'm just done with Razor. I don't have time for this. Companies that set up these kind of roadblocks, I am not going to give them a second chance because you've already shown what your intentions are. Anyway, enough of that rant. Let's see here. Netflix started cracking down on what is assumed a password sharing. People who left it logged in will learn via the extra fees. I was working at a company, Zaf says, where a lot of people got laid off. The lead programmer took all their monitors and made a 12 grid array of monitors in his office against the wall. So I was working in San Francisco, or in the San Francisco Bay Area, when the whole .com crash happened. And I saw companies get cleaned out like locusts hit them. Like there'd be monitor stands, wires hanging, the TVs off the wall, because people would get laid off and not paid because the company just, they went into a ditch and they don't even have the money to pay for the next paycheck. And the people would walk out with everything that wasn't bolted down and some of the stuff that was. The small towns aren't geared towards larger online company support. Dotterod doesn't want a RV school bus. What? Who doesn't want an RV school bus? The ATSC 2.0 has a multi-pathing issue. Oh my God. I Kill King 10. I can't do any more of the ATSC stuff. Sorry. It's just too many acronyms and it's too much stuff. Internal Craftsman says the flying half had me stop so she could look at those Sprinter RVs. I told her we can buy 8 used Class C RVs for what it costs. No doubt, they're ridiculously expensive. They have terrible maintenance issues, but they're super cool. Buttlemar says, would love to take you guys to dinner when you come to Vegas. I will be in Vegas last week of March for the National Hardware Show. I'm staying at I forgot the name of it, the West something. The West. It's the one that's attached to the convention center, just north of it. It's not like a super high end one. The Westgate. Sorry, that was really loud. The Westgate. I'm staying at the Westgate. Sorry, I have a suite at the Westgate because me. Anyway, actually, I don't even know if I have a suite. I think I've got like a king size bed, extra size room. Anyway, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we'll be able to have some time to hook up with some of you folks while we're there. The failure to communicate lines are also used in the song Civil War by Guns N' Roses. Mater says, I found a great deal on a Canon Rebel T7 at my local pawn shop for $350 that includes several lenses and other items. That's pretty cool. The pre-revenue says, of all my in real life friends, none have had good Razer products. I've never bought one myself. I remember back in the day, that's what it is. I remember the old school Razer products and that they were doing gamer stuff before other people were really doing gamer. In fact, I think they're the ones who came out. If I'm not mistaken, they were the guys who came out with the plastic high-speed trackpads. Not trackpads, but mouse pads. And I think that's how Razer got started. If I'm not misconstruing, my memory might be a little wonky. And, they were the guys making stuff for gamers to make gaming better. This is a hot, stinking pile of garbage. And they know it, clearly. Logitech used to be terrible, but I've had good luck with them. I have every intention of buying a Logitech next. The Logitech, it's like they're not the best thing out there, but you can't go wrong with them. They really got like my mouse is a Logitech, and it's not the super high end Logitech, and it does feel like I have to plug it in too much, but it's probably like once every 2 weeks, to be honest. But for me, it's like if I would plug it in at all. I will say this. I don't do cordless keyboards because I hate something about replacing batteries in keyboards just ticks me off. But I had one when I was working, and I think it was my Logitech, and it was no frills. It was not like a super fancy keyboard, but it had a little, right over the numeric keypad, it had a solar panel like you'd see on a calculator, and it could get enough light from the ceiling lights that it was always charged. And that was super cool. And then I've never seen anybody do anything like that ever again. Weird. G-Hub is the worst thing about Logitech now. Cannonball Run can be viewed on YouTube. Can it? Or is it Cannonball 2? If I can find Cannonball Run, I will be a happy camper. Hisense wouldn't warranty a TV because I wouldn't take it off a wall to tell them the date it was manufactured. After I gave them the serial number, I'll never buy from them again. That's weird. Here's a weird thing with Hisense. So we bought a Hisense TV, and it had, there was some issue with shipping. And I called them up, and they're like, we'll get it out to you. We'll fix it. And I ended up with 2 of them. It was weird. The sound on them was absolutely terrible. Apparently they've gotten better, but the sound, you can't use the sound on it. It sounds like it's coming out of a rusty tin can. Matthew says, speaking of Harbor Freight, I was there today getting my free bucket, and I overheard cashiers talking. Sounds like somebody tried the Home Depot hack on a Harbor Freight bundle. Good luck with that. Taylor Swift won the Super Bowl. She wins every time. She does. Let's see here. I'll fly out there if I can sleep on the couch in the suite. Dude, you should get your own suite. They were hella cheap. I was stunned considering that there's actually, National Hardware Show is not a big convention. For me, it has a lot of the stuff that I need to see. So it's an interesting convention. And I would say originally yes, but then the missus decided that she's going to come out. So I'm driving down, and the same day I'm driving down, she's going to fly. And so she's going to be there. She's going to fly in Monday, fly back on, I think, Wednesday. And I'm going to be there the whole week, hang out with the boy, do a bunch of stuff. So anyway, looking forward to that. That reminds me, I have to buy him tickets to fly him up here because he's going to do a college tour over at MSU. Go Bearcats. Not Bearcats. I keep calling them Bearcats. What are they? It's not the Bobcats, is it? It's the, they just call them cats. I don't know what they are. It's Sunday night. I'm tired. Do an Office Space style video showing you smashing that Razer keyboard. How about if I just take it out with with one of the old lever actions? How about that? No, because then the keys would go everywhere and I'd have to pick them up. Home Depot hack. The hack is where you can buy a combo and you can return one of the items to get the main item for cheaper. If they can't tell the manufacturing date, if they can't tell the manufacturing date from the serial number, then legit, that should have the manufacturing date built into it. Actually sounded like someone had allowed the hack and others weren't too happy about it. Well, someone's always going to screw up. Cincinnati Bearcats. Yeah. So I am a Bearcat. So I went to Cincinnati. I did not graduate, so I don't know if I'm technically a Bearcat. I dropped out. When I got into the school and I had my classes, and eventually I'm like, this is a scam. Unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or a chemist or something along those lines that's very technical, you shouldn't have to get a college degree. You should just they should have a competency test. And if you can prove you're competent, it's insane. So I ran multi-million-dollar businesses as a chief operating officer in Silicon Valley. In the game, in the show, as they say about baseball kind of stuff. I was, top tier professional level, kind of stuff. I applied for some jobs with the government just for funsies. Was told that I did not qualify because I didn't have a college degree. I'm like, I've got more experience than anybody you have applying for this position. I've done this. I can do this in my sleep. And I've got all the credentials and all the references and everything else to prove it. No, you need a college degree. It's one of the things, don't want to get too political, but Trump changed that. He put this order in saying it's stupid to ask for college degrees for these jobs. And and that was the smartest thing I think that he did while in office. And of course, as soon as the Democrats get in office, they're like, nope, we got to change that. We can't have non-indoctrinated people making decisions. Got to keep the bureaucracy, in line. Anyway, you want some fun history? Read about the bureaucratic takeover of ancient China and what they did to them, the eunuchs. Infernal Craftsman says, I used to be against the hack, but I feel differently now. It's their way of letting you buy it on sale at a sale price, but they want to offer it, but they can't since they're basically consignment. It's a lost leader kind of thing. They're hoping that you buy it with the idea that you're going to do the hack and then just never take it back. There's always that kind of thing in business and sales where there's this like, hey, you can have the first week free, but you have to sign up with your credit card hoping that you won't cancel after a week. It's the same thing. I graduated from the College of Hard Knocks. I have a master's degree. I have a dual major in Hard Knocks. Pre-Revenue says, I'm a Bearcat too. Nice. Now, if only we knew what Bearcats actually were. Matthew says, actually, it was worse than the Home Depot hack. Apparently, they brought back the battery, so they kept the free tool. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, it's 8:21, so we are well past the time. So I got to cut it short here. Thank you all for joining me, for being here. Sorry the missus couldn't be with us. Thank you for surviving through the technical issues. Hopefully, Amazon will get me that cable I need so we won't have to do this anymore. Thank you for everyone. Here's something that's interesting. Usually I say thank you for everyone who supported us with a super chat. We didn't get any super chats. Coincidentally, there wasn't a better looking co-podcaster here sitting next to me. I think the two might be correlated. Anyway, thank you everyone who's here, especially you guys and gals who are members of the channel. You are fantastic. You support us each and every month, and you make all this worth doing, coming back and doing it every Sunday. Again, thank you for everyone who is has one of the Cobalt Blue wrenches behind their name. They're part of the mod group there. Thank you for supporting us and being here each and every week. Again, go and check out one of their channels as a way to say thank you and support the online tool community. Go around, show some love. And, we've always been like trying to support, the smaller channels and get them the love that they deserve. Anyway, go check them out. And thanks especially to all of you for just being here. I'm not even sure how many people we got on here. My thing's down. Anyway, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Same time next week, right? And don't forget to check out on Friday nights at 7, we're doing, over on the other channel, we're doing Cask and Ember. I think we're going to be doing, I don't know if we're going to be doing another Jack Daniels. I got a really special Jack Daniels, but or maybe something a little more basic. I had some suggestions. Oh, no, I got to find the Devil's Cut because Rick said, he's pestered me forever. That's his favorite. I got to do the Devil's Cut. So we're going to do the Devil's Cut. I'm not sure what cigar we're going to do, but we'll see you next week. Anyway, you all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.